Yeah, HI4. Basically the fourth generation of the HIHP. So HIHP was always my go-to contest board and all-round performance longboard. And as the criterias and things have changed and the locations with WSL or ASP before that, always just slightly adapting that board. But all in all, it's just the best, safest all-round longboard, performance longboard for and to surf or pumping waves all the time. And the reality, so I was gearing my surfboards that way for such a long time. That's obviously where my heart is with surfing, like most surfers. But yeah, so just really building a board for everyday conditions, and yeah, just something really easy to ride and a bit more nose ride orientated, looser in smaller waves. So this board utilizes the same continual rocker that's in the HIHP. It's not overly rocketed compared to what some guys ride. It's just a really even, nice amount of rocker throughout. So as you transition up and down the board, there's no stall or acceleration points. It's all very easy. So whether you're pro or beginning, again, like say the 9.3 or even the 9.1, depending on your size, it's absolutely a board I could teach someone to surf on, no problem. This
so you
board,
have the 9.1 and then the 9.3, yeah?
Yeah, so this board comes in two sizes. The 9.3 is just depending on who you are or your size or your ability, one's just just an all-round blown out bigger version. So, if you're a bigger guy, obviously the bigger board, that might be your performance size, or, for someone who's smaller, like having them as two boards, that could be a good quiver, like your sort of, maybe shoulder high to double overhead board is the 9.1, and then for your absolute grovel, you've got the 9.3. But again, they're both really solid all-round boards. If you just had one or the other, I think anyone's going to be stoked. The 9.3 has like a 19-inch nose, whereas the 19-inch nose, yeah, so quite a big nose. And so it's really comfy and easy to nose ride. And the 9.1 has a 18-inch nose, so still quite a good sized nose.
Yeah.
But really, honestly, what makes this board nose ride so much better than a lot of my previous longboards is we pull the wide point back, so there's more width and more plan-shaped curve in the back. Having that more area in the tail half of the board, obviously a lot more water can stay on the tail, which makes it feel a lot more stable when you're standing up front. And also that doubles when you're standing back there. Similar to the Mo, there's more planing area at lower speeds. So in smaller waves, you can stay back and surf the board. The more plan-shaped curve loosens the board up, where the HIHP had more of a sort of a drawn-out, straighter plan shape. So yeah, you can fit it, even though it's a bigger, wider board, you can actually fit a cutback in a smaller space with that extra plan shape curve.
So you said you move the wide point down closer to your chest, you mean, right? And
yeah. So say the HIHP, the wide point might be just forward to center, and this one's maybe on center or just a little bit behind. Regardless of exactly where the wide point is, it's more just that width distribution. We've just held the width distribution more at the back, so that between your feet there's a lot more curve in that last, say, meter of the surfboard. And it makes all the difference for the looseness, But having said that, the HIHP, if you've got more big or open faces, the longer rail's gonna hold the drive longer, and it's always a trade-off, It's but I think everyday conditions, from anything sort of hand high overhead to knee high, like this 9.1 and 9.3, is kind of my go-to right now.
And the fin system is a 4+1?
Yep. Like most of my boards, we just like to give people the option. So always quad and a box. I'm not sure. Can you see that?
Yep, I can see it.
Yep. So yeah, quad and a box. I typically run my extra large longboard set, tri-set. So that's an extra large side fin with a 5.5-inch center. So it's actually 2+1. The center fin's probably about half an inch bigger than the sides. But if it's really small and running, sometimes I've been putting like that 8-inch connect with like a medium side or a small side. And my dad's got the 9.1 and 9.3, and he pretty much just exclusively rides them as quads. I don't typically ride this board as a quad as much, just because if it's quad conditions, I'll typically go to my HIHP. But my dad really likes it. He was such a staunch single fin guy my whole life. He just likes that sort of longer line, like sort of, he just, grew up surfing in the 70s and stuff, so it just really suits his style, the single fin. But once I sort of wrapped his head around the quads and stuff, and I, sort of opened his mind to, it really lengthens out your arcs, and it is more of a single fin line you do take with a quad set. Once I got him on that, he was hooked,
That's interesting, because there's a lot of the single fin that would never think about going to a quad.
Yeah, so it is more that similar style, like obviously riding a big single fin. If I was just going out there wanting to hang 10 in a little running pocket, like I'd put a 10-inch single fin in this 9.3 as well. I do ride this board as a single fin quite a lot, as well. And, if you're absolutely just wanting to stay on the nose and that's going to be your best hold, and a big single fin single fins just typically match the wave speed really well. They just like to just stay in the pocket and stuff like that. But having the quad gives you that ability to really run out and plane and use more of the wave space. And I guess a lot of the beach breaks here, a lot of our waves, you go over a lot of dead sections and stuff. So I think the quads really own it in that space. So yeah, it just depends on the waves and what mood you're in, like you can really sort of gear this board to surf lots of different ways.
Right on. And it comes in two different constructions. It comes in the carbon fiber.
Which is Thunderbolt Black. Yeah, carbon fiber Thunderbolt Black and Thunderbolt Red. I personally, again, because I'm typically riding the HI4 in sort of regular sized waves, nothing too crazy. I don't even own a carbon fiber one, to be honest, personally. But I'm lucky that I have the other end of the quiver with my carbon HIHPs, that when it gets more like that, I'll go to that board. But if it was a one board quiver, I would, especially the 9.1, I probably would be deeply considering the carbon one. Just that little bit of added strength and the stiffer flex I really like in sort of bigger, choppier conditions, particularly. But when the waves are a bit weaker and average, the Thunderbolt Red really has the most easy spring. You don't need much power in yourself or the wave to get the thing to really get moving. So, Thunderbolt Red's pretty epic. It still has carbon fiber, but that's just in the internal structure rather than the whole outside lamination. So,
we've been selling more carbon fibers than that. A lot of guys And
again, I'm in a fortunate position that I have HIHPs and all that. So if you were just after your one all-round everything board, then I'd be probably looking at Thunderbolt Black as well.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you very much for going over the HI4.
No worries.